Hey guys, I want to ask and try to answer a really hard question. And it's one you've heard before, and it's probably one you've even asked before, if not to somebody else, certainly to yourself. And that question is, what does our God want? What does he want? What's his motivation? What's his grand design? And that is certainly a big question, and I'm sure it probably has a very big answer. I've got my own answer to that question, and I'm going to propose it. You can decide whether you think it holds water or not. Again, this is my idea. I think it certainly has a scriptural basis, but that's not to say it's printed anywhere in the Bible in black and white. The question itself can really be broken down into a couple of parts. What does he want for this world? And then also, what does he want from me as an individual, as a person? Well, first of all, let's look at what does he want from this world. And I think we can find that answer in the Bible, in that there are so many references comparing this world to a farm. There's descriptions of people being divided into the categories as wheat and tares. So we've got produce, we've got something that we want, a desirable product, versus a byproduct, a waste product, an invasive species, something that we don't want. It's not something that we hate, it's just something that we have no use of. So also, let's look at Adam and Eve. They started in a garden. So seeing this world as something that produces fruit certainly isn't a New Testament innovation by any means. That being said, here's my theory, my answer to what our God wants from this world. He's looking for produce. That's what a farm makes, right? It generates produce. Souls, people, spirits, wills, however you want to describe it, but we are the produce that he's looking for. Now, not all people are what he is expecting. Not all people measure up to that standard of what's considered good produce. There are people who are wheat, and there are people who are tares, who are weeds. So that's when we get into the second part of this question, and that is, what does he want from us? Well, back to the first question, why does he want us in the first place? And the answer to that is something that's been ventured by a lot of people. I think the typical answer you're going to find in the churches in Christianity is what I call lonely God theory. Once upon a time, there was this old man with a long gray beard. He looked like Pai Mei from Kill Bill Volume 2. And he was sitting up in this throne in the clouds, and he had these angels flapping around him, but they were just robots. They weren't very good company. And he was just this lonely guy, and he just got bored one day, and he says, you know what? I'm just going to make a planet, and I'm going to fill it full of people, and man, I just hope that they'll want to love me. I hope they think I'm good enough. I hope they'll keep me company. Well, I mean, that's certainly one theory. I don't think you can find any basis for that in the Bible. If anything, I think it makes our God sound pretty pathetic. I have another theory, and I think that has a little bit more of a biblical basis, because in the Bible, it talks about us ultimately ruling with him as kings and judges and priests and things like that. So I think he's looking for us to come from this world because he has a purpose for us. We have a destiny. I try to tell people, think about this world as not a test. This life as a test just sounds so arbitrary. I'm being tested. For what? To see if you're good enough. Good enough for what? to get a prize, to get a reward. So, okay, the universe is just, a galactic game. It's a contest. You know what? That doesn't sit very well with me, and I don't think it's scriptural either. On the contrary, I think this world, this life, is a job interview for each of us. What our God is looking for, as far as I believe, is people who will do His will, who love Him. Loving Him means obeying Him. And you know what? This is the interesting thing about the life of most believers. And now we're getting into what He expects from us, again, in my humble opinion. And that is, here I am, virtually isolated from very many other believers. I don't have a pastoral figure or a priest or a deacon, or I don't have some religious leader and a physical authority standing over me, shaking a finger at me every time I do something wrong. I'm all alone. Nobody's looking. In fact, everybody around me would approve even more, and they would be even more happy with me if I broke the laws of my God. So I am not only isolated from anybody forcing me to be righteous and to obey His commands, but on the contrary, I'm surrounded by a world of people who encourage me to break His commands and would accept me more if I broke His commands, and they would even reward me if I broke His commands. So, wow, here I am in not only isolation, but surrounded by resistance to His will. And what does that say if even in isolation, even all alone, I do the right thing? I don't need to be watched. I don't need to be supervised. I don't need to be micromanaged. I just do the right thing every day, in the dark, in the light, inside my house, out in the streets. I just do the will of my God. What does that say about me as a job candidate? Am I somebody qualified to work in your company? Am I somebody that you would appoint as a middle manager over some remote office where I can basically do whatever I want and it's really hard to see what I'm doing, and maybe I could be doing the right thing, maybe the wrong thing, but you really just kind of have to trust whoever's playing that role, right? Would you hire me for that if I proved to you that I was that kind of person? And, I think you would. I know I would hire a person like that. And that's how I see this world. It's a job interview. He's looking for people who will do His will when nobody's looking or when everybody's looking. Even when it's detrimental to us personally sometimes, even at a loss, we will operate within His parameters. What are His parameters? And this is another question. This is maybe even a third portion that you could ask, what does our God want? And again, this is something I remember from Christianity. They were often talking about seeking the will of God in their lives. Well, what is His will for my life? Well, I have to get down on my knees and I have to pray and pray and pray. And then eventually I'm going to get a feeling right here, and I'm going to get a little shiver up and down the back of my neck, letting me know that's Him. And that's going to tell me, you know what? Yes, Paul, you should take this job. Yes, Paul, you can marry this woman. No, Paul, don't go to that bar with your friends. It's bad, okay? All right. Well, that's not how I seek the will of my God in my life. The way I do it is I open a Bible and I read His words. And I'm not calling the Bible His word. I'm calling the things He said inside of that Bible, either directly or through His prophets. I'm calling that His word, because those are the words that He actually spake. So that is His word. That's His will for my life. And He said, Paul, I don't want you to kill your brother. Paul, I don't want you to be a thief. Paul, you know what? While you're at it, don't be an adulterer. Okay, I understand. Oh, and every Sabbath day, every seventh day of the week, take a break. Okay. And it goes on, and it goes on. But that is His will for my life. And it's His will for the lives of all of His people. And who are His people? They're the people that were called Israel in the Bible. And they're the people who have decided that they would join themselves to Israel and become Israel and take Him as their God as well. So, there you have it. That's my answer to what our God wants. He wants people from this world. That's the product of this planet. And the people He's looking for are the people who will trust Him over anybody and everything else. Whenever your pastor tells you, you know what, you don't have to obey that law. I mean, that's the oldest lie in the book, right? You don't have to obey His commandments anymore. Don't eat this or you'll die. You won't die. Go ahead and eat it. We've heard this one before. Well, you don't have to rest on the Sabbath day. You can eat that pig. Don't even worry about it. No, you're not getting me with that. That's a very old trick, and I've read the book. You're not going to trick me again. So, I know the voice of my God. I've read His words, and that's what I'm going to live by. That's who I'm going to trust. That's in whom I'm going to put my faith above and beyond any and everybody else. And I believe that's the product. That's the person that He's looking for from this world. The person who will seek out what His word and His will actually is. And it's written in black and white. That will actually do it. And will be faithful all the time, no matter what the cost, no matter what the consequence, no matter who's looking, no matter how secretly you're hidden, no matter what, He's looking for people who will love Him.